Froggy, I know that you lost your legs. Can you tell me where that was again?
And if I knew where it was, I'd find my legs and have them back on me.
I was expecting the answer back in Nom.
Now,
Hello, everybody. My name is Puppetine from the Geeky Puppet Show here on the Geeky Puppet Show today for what?
really? We have no idea who the hell you are. You announce yourself every single freaking time, you idiots.
And this is Froggy.
If you watch this channel, it's like 51st Dates.
We are here to reveal the Winchesters. It's episode 4, Master of War or Masters of War. I can't remember. But it is, well, it's another one. And we have been reviewing the show pretty much since it came out. And this one is a little bit different. Not your typical monster this week. But we'll get into that.
This is basically a filler episode. The first one.
Oh,
I'd say, because the other one actually had plot development. This only where basically, okay, it starts off with veterans are being attacked in a mental hospital or outpatient, inpatient, they go in there. And one of the veterans, he has flashbacks. He's a World War II veteran. Because remember, this takes place during the 70s. And so right around the Vietnam War, so there were World War II veterans in their 40s.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, so a veteran basically gets upset at the doctor in the therapy group session. He leaves, storms out, and he goes in his room, and in the hallway starts turning into basically World War II. Starts hearing machine gun fire, and just he goes in his room. All of a sudden, he sees this guy in this Roman outfit, centurion outfit. He throws a spear at him, and he's basically told to fight. He's like, and he goes to fight, and you see blood splat, and it goes right to the title screen.
Yeah. It's definitely a troubling beginning. Seeing these people who've gone through some really deep shit, and that being put against them.
Well, the other good thing, it does tie into the previous episode, and I'll get right into that. So basically, in order to basically hear about this on through, I guess, a friend that knew of somebody in a group that basically Carlos knew someone knew. Yeah, it was Carlos, right? Yeah, Carlos knows somebody, and he heard about the guy. Patches was basically this guy's friend, and so what they do is they sneak in there. They pretend to be doctors, bringing in a corpse in. They have Carlos hide in the body bag because he lost rock paper scissors. He's upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
They go through the morgue. They look at the body. They can tell there's burn wounds on the body, which isn't normal because they said it was ruled as suicide, like he stabbed himself. But as Carl points out, there's multiple stab wounds on there, in order to do this. And there's cauterization on the wounds. So they rules out a demon or anything monster with slashes. So what they do, before they do this, John, because he's dressed as a doctor, the wife of the deceased veteran walks in. John's holding the Silver Cross. He's experiencing flashbacks in Vietnam, where his friend stepped on a landmine and then blew up. Because the same cross that he's holding was also the same one his friend wore. It was embedded into his shoulder, or not shoulder, but his arm, his forearm. So so they bring the flashbacks. So what they do is because we learned that Carlos used to serve in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
How convenient that the guy who's bisexual was in the Navy. Are you guys hinting at something?
Well,
I mean, it's true, but
in the Navy. That's right. But with Carlos, it's very, very clear that he is playing for the other team. But with him here, no, you say he's your favorite character. I like him well enough. He's fine.
I like him because he's kind of like Cisco 2.0 on a better show.
On a better show, that's fair. Well, here's the thing. With this episode, we have really, like you said, filler. Yes, they're dealing with not a monster, but actually we get to learn the God of War. That's fun.
Not really. Well, he's not really the god of war, but he's he's similar to it. Anyway, so basically, what happens is that they actually have John and Carlos go undercover, sign up to get the doctor's therapy group because there's a tie there. During this, you get a guy named Jimmy. Jimmy storms off during a group session, but before that, we get to learn more about Carlos' past, and basically with the Viet Cong, and just seeing, basically, his traumatic stuff, and so he gets a little bit of character development from him, character growth. John follows Jimmy into the hallway, but Jimmy disappears. John wanders, and he goes in the room, and then before he get in there, he sees Jimmy, and then he sees a blood splat. The door's locked. Jimmy's hauled away. But the other part of the story is, I want to get back to this because Mary had been with John when the deceased wife, came to collect the basically patches remains, or his personal effects. She said that a news reporter had basically contacted her, and she handed her the card, and they had the name in it. And who is this? That slimy little sneaky punk that tried to steal Mary away romantically at the theater in the last episode. So I think he's a red herring. I think he's done. That was his big thing. He got 2 episodes. He's gone. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I don't see how they could bring him back. He's not dead, but he should be.
It was me all along.
He's on Endgame. Anyway, so all right. So basically, what happens is that eventually, John follows Carlos because Carlos goes missing from the ward, from the thing, and he starts on his room, and it turns out to be like a jungle in there, and it really is a jungle in there. He finds Carlos in there. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know how to get out of this. Carlos steps on a landmine. He tells them the hole there, don't move at all. John's basically sweating because this is how his friend died. And then they're approached by the guy in the Centurion armor. Meanwhile, we learn from Lutta, who basically had been talking to Mary, and they found this old book inside, Maggie's room. Maggie being Mary's, I think, younger sister?
I believe so.
Yeah. And she had passed away about some time ago, and so they never really went in her room. It was always locked, kept the way it was, because Mary just couldn't come to terms with it. But they needed to go in there because she had all the non-Christian lore and all stuff, because she was fascinated by that. So they find out basically this is a god attached to a vase. So they basically talk to Dean's, or not, sorry, not John, sorry, because pretty much. But they talk to John's mother, and she comes with them. They look around in the doctor's office for a vase. Before they notice that a cabinet had been moved, and up in the ceiling panel had been moved. Meanwhile, John's in there. Basically, he makes a deal with this Roman centurion guy. It turns out to be Jimmy. Jimmy, who they thought was a corpse. Jimmy's alive, and it turns out he's an immortal god. And he says, John, I was kind of worried about the Krita coming, but you're a hunter and and a fighter.
That's right.
Soldier. Yeah, so he says, you should join me and stuff. It's like, and he said, I'll spare your friend's life if you draw first blood, and you can join me and take on the Krita. And John was pretty much losing. Well, not really. I think he would have won, but his back in the real world, John's mother, when they basically had found the vase up there, she took the vase and Latia's kind of basically studying. It's like, oh, it's fancy. She's like, cut this crap. She's quick, knocks her hands, drops on the ground, breaking it. This allows John to get the upper hand and basically get
he wins.
Yeah, he breaks the spear in half, runs the broken part right through the back. Yeah. So
thank you for the watch time, Ash. But with all this, essentially he says, "Oh, you're ready to face the Akrita." At the same time, they don't really touch upon that. Like you said, Froggy, this episode is a lot of filler. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad episode. We had that with Kung Fu last week. We had a fun time. This wasn't as fun.
There's character growth in this.
There is character growth. You're right.
And I gotta say that the original Supernatural, there wasn't much character growth in the very first season. It was just Monster of the Week. Every single freaking episode was a different Monster of the Week. There wasn't really no character growth, not until the second season.
I mean, yes, you were right. Because as it went on, they realized they had to build these characters.
Yeah.
For this one, I'm glad that they're starting early. At the same time, I'm just struggling because Mary in Supernatural was never my favorite character. I did not like her. Here, she's bearable. She's not terrible, but and John is he is growing on me. He in the role of John, he's doing good. Mostly because I've forgotten the other guy that played young John. But with this, no, there's a lot of layers to it. And
I'm waiting to episode 13 because that's when he said is explain why everything's changed, why time's altered.
That's right. And when we find that out, maybe it'll all come to.
I have faith in Dean Winchester, Jensen Ackles.
What's the hope that we can get Walker canceled so that way they can just appear off here?
The other thing is that with Jensen Ackles is doing the narration opening for this one. He isn't doing it for every single episode, but this one got a cool narration from it. So, like I said, it's a fun, but not listed because of spoilers, but.
That's fair, but thank you for the support. There's not a lot to spoil here anyway, but it's a small episode. Overall, it's fine. I think that's basically how I feel about it. It's a fine episode. Like most of these episodes have been fine, and I'm waiting for it to grow on me to get better. But I'm not sure it will, but I hope so. Any final thoughts on this episode, Froggy?
Overall, like I said, we learned that other gods basically know the Krita, and they're afraid of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I kind of wonder what this guy would have brought to the table if John would have joined him. What that would mean by joining him. Would John become the new god?
Hi, I'm God John.
But I gotta say though, John though is this guy. I can see the more I look at more of his facial features, I can see Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
That's good.
No, and like I said, like the actions and stuff like that, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan, his character when they show the flashbacks of the young sons,
mm-hmm.
he was still farther along, but he was more strung out, more stretched out into this because he was doing it alone. He didn't have Mary with him.
Yeah, well, also
and you see this he kind of stresses out a little bit when he doesn't have Mary with him too.
Yeah. It was also a different world because he wasn't hunting until after Mary died.
I also got to realize at the end of the Supernatural, this is a big spoiler, if you haven't watched Supernatural, the whole world's reset.
I mean, it was fixed. It wasn't reset. I have finished Supernatural to get ready for the Winchesters. It wasn't reset. So
it was changed. It was a lot of it was changed. Like I said, but we don't even know which Earth this is.
Well, it should be the only one.
Is it the only one, or did
well, actually, this considering it's the 70s right now, I suppose it was the time when Chuck had multiple universes going. So
yeah,
maybe, I don't know. But we want to thank you so much for joining us. We want to hear your thoughts. Please make sure to comment down below. If you're watching this show, let us know what you're thinking. You've heard ours, so it's only fair. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Check out the Ko-Fi. We do comic book readings on Fridays and Sundays. And when we do those, books cost money. But if you could help, it would be greatly appreciated. But that's about it for now. So, from Froggy, from me, we want to thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
And remember, only you can eat a chose.
That's right.